Hallo und willkommen zurück zu Pillars of Eternity und wir werden jetzt weiter die Dialoge hier durchklicken. Viel war es ja nicht mehr. I'm curious about your search for Perzok. I'll tell you what I can, but Tarnak Ilizak pilgrimages like mine are rare. Do your people have... Why do your people have this tradition? She pulls the beer figurine out of her satchel, running a finger along its smooth back. It's something we've always done. The elders say it was first begun to forge ties with other villages. It's hard to fight over caribou herds when you see someone you respect on the other side. We also believe that passing your history on in this way keeps us stronger, and it helps them, the elders I mean, return to us after they've been away from us for a generation or more. They can use the experiences they've accumulated over lifetimes to lead the village again. Are elders usually reborn so far from the village? Most often they return somewhere in Nazitak, a member of another village, or they are reborn among the Glamfallen of the Whites that wends. Even so, it's hard to say that what's usual. A mischievous grin crinkles her eyes. When my grandfather was a boy, the elder came back as a polar bear. The huntress chosen for the task had to recite half of her village's deeds while running from the beast. Her expression sobers. Even so, there have been journeys longer than mine. Some last decades, and the huntress doesn't always return. What happens when the elder is found? That depends on the man or woman he has become. It's easiest when the rebirth happens in another village or of Nazitak, where the tradition is understood. Even in the White that wends and the southern islands of the Deadfire Archipelago, people understand this custom and will welcome you politely enough, even if their souls do not remember. She shrugs. But sometimes you find someone whose soul has no memory of the village, and you have to tell him of people who remember him still. And disheartening as this is, you hope that the reminder will aid his soul in a future life. How did you get picked to come search for Perzok? She grins. Another old village tradition. The elders watch the caribou migrations and cast seal bones to determine the right time for this journey. When the omens were determined, all the village wives drew shark teeth. We are the ones that go away to hunt and fish, so we are the best suited for a task like this. Anyway, I grabbed the little tooth. She frowns. Traveling so far is a rare privilege for us, but as you can see, the journey can be unpredictable. What are your thoughts on my search? She frowns. Helps to know what you're hunting. You've got a lot of tracks to follow, but where they lead us is anyone's guess. Let's move on.
Point the way.
So. Dann schauen wir mal, was die so für Fähigkeiten hat. Die hat einen Bogen. Dann Marked Prey. 1 per Encounter. Marked for bla seconds. Und dann 20 Schaden mehr dagegen. Okay, designates a single target of spray, giving the ranger and animal companion a damage bonus. Dann haben wir Wounding Shot. 2 per Encounter. Hobbled for 10 seconds. Primary Attack. Plus einmal zusätzlichen Schaden. Ja. Kleine Zwergen. Hat die so eine Hautfarbe? Ja. Sieht nicht so gesund aus. Fine Hunting Bow. Fine Dagger. Fine Hatchet. Was hat die denn für Eigenschaften? Stealth und Survival. Okay. Faithful Companion. Okay. Hunter's Instincts, 15 Accuracy against Wilders, 15 Accuracy against Primordials. Marked Prey, Arctic Fox and Companion. Macht minimalsten Schaden. Faithful Companion. Der sieht mal sehr durchschnittlich aus. Naja. Okay.
Right. Slow and silent.
So, dann werde ich auch hier nach Osten ziehen und den nächsten holen. Stronghold. Finished in 2 days, 5 hours. Okay. Dann werden wir jetzt nach Osten reisen. Das waren die Wooded Plains. Muss ich mir auch mal gerade aufschreiben. Dann gehen wir jetzt nach Stormwall Gorge. Nur 2 Stunden. Okay. Any weapon, shield or suit of armor can be enchanted by clicking the enchant button from its description page. Das kostet aber alles. Und wir brauchen noch das Geld, um die Festung auszubauen. Es regnet. An dir. Mehr dir. Da ist eine Leiche. Lion. So, dann probieren wir den einfach mal. Lioness.
All right then.
Winged Helm. Cool. Ne, greifen wir sie nicht an. Yay! Na, aber das passt irgendwie besser zu dem. Ja. Da geht's nach Osten. Nach Dryford Village, da müssen wir danach hin. Aber hier in der Zone muss noch irgendwo der Magier sein. Nicht Magier, der Druide. Da ist mal nix.
I'll see what I can find.
Da ist er doch. Hiravias. Chewing on a piece of uncooked meat, a small Olin dressed in tattered leathers offers a mumbled greeting and waves his hand. Despite his pleasant smile, the upper right portion of his face is in story state. An eye patch stitched with a stylized eyeball wraps around his head, and his ear is mangled remnant that twitches and spasms while the other ear peeks up at your approach. Next to him is the splayed carcass of a deer that appears ripped open by a bear or wolf. You hear a gurgling rumble next to you. Sakani places her hand on her stomach. Her eyes are on the carcass, still fresh. Itumak's pink tongue lolls out of his mouth.
If this is your deer, you need a new game warden. Name's Hiravias. Hungry? I can't eat all this. First catch of the day, help yourself.
You might want to cook that first.
And ruin the original texture? That's the best part! Just see for yourself.
Turning his attention to the corpse, he plunks his hands into the deer's vivisected abdomen.
Eat up!
With a smile, he holds the truncated ends of the beast's innards in front of you. That's disgusting. After you! As one eye looks yours and he tears off several inches of intestine with one ripping bite. He slowly chews, his eye squinting at you.
So delicious. Now I know the deer had elderberries for its last meal. Are you sure you don't want to try some?
What killed that deer?
One ornery Stelgar. Though looking at the deer's insides, it had a malformed but delicious heart, and would have been dead within the year regardless. Gallowayne chose a fitting end for this fine animal. Pardon me, I shouldn't pray with my mouth full.
What brings you here?
Other than the delicious venison, new trees to document, new animals to sketch, new sights to be seen. I've learned as much as I can from the druids of my circle. I'd rather wander and learn than take root and stagnate. So if you're traveling to Deerwood and need another set of hands, I'd welcome the safety of a group.
Go on.
I'm trained by the celebrants of Hawk and Ivy of the Fisher Crane tribe. I know more than my share of nature magic, and, well, I don't shy away from a good fight. I have business with the druids that live near Twin Elms. So long as we find ourselves there eventually, I'm happy to follow along.
You're welcome to join us.
Splendid! It'll be an honor to run with a pack for a change.
Okay. Dann müssen wir jetzt mal einen rauswerfen. Wer ist denn am sinnlosesten? Werfen wir mal den raus. Weil der wird sowieso für dieses, für diesen Dungeon, da ist seine Quest quasi, soweit ich das verstanden habe. Können wir die beiden erstmal so ein bisschen kennenlernen. Accept. So, dann ist es wieder Zeit zu reden. Ja, das war falsch. Was hat denn der an? Da können wir hier auch noch gerade gucken. Feinheit Armor. Mhm. Das war alles fein. Ja. Aber hat nichts Besonderes. Fein Spear. Fein Wand. Was kann der? 4th Level. 10% Hits to Crits when attacking the same target as an ally. Das ist ziemlich sinnlos, aber es ist durch eine Aura jetzt gerade, oder was? Nee. Abilities, oh Gott. Okay, Talents, ein Bonus-Spell, Weapon Focus Peasant, Hatchet, Spear, Quarterstaff, Hunting Bow, Unarmed. Okay. Was macht er da mit dem Wand? Hunting Bow. Haben wir jetzt leider keinen. Den müsste man dann mal ersetzen bei Zeiten. Okay.
Understood.
Wenn du es tut, reden wir mal mit dem.
As a peripatetic loner, I'm not privy to the latest news, but the Hollowborn Children is a tale that has reached even my reclusive ears. Or rather, ear.
What do the Glenfathen druids think of this plight?
It's been a long time since I've spoken with my circle. They'd probably tell you what I'd tell you. This plight was most certainly the consequence of someone trespassing into Nguithan places, not meant for folk. I mean, what else other than the gods could inflict punishment of such impressive scale?
What are your thoughts on the Hollowborn?
Anytime a life is separated from its soul, I wanted to pretend it was just a rumor when I first heard of it. In my youth, I'd cursed the dear Woodens for being ignorant to spoilers that breed out of control. But soulless babies? What heartless gods would inflict that kind of tragedy? No parent or child deserves to be a part of that horror.
Let's talk of other matters.
Need something?
Tell me about yourself.
My second favorite subject.
He runs his fingers through his scalp, preening his fur.
What would you like to know?
How did you come to be trained as a druid? Hiravias thumbs his half-shredded ear and thinks to himself for several seconds. It wasn't entirely by choice, not at the start at least. My ambition was to be a hunter. I merely arrived by a different trail. As a child, an Anemfeth came to visit, an honored guest, his occasion for a grand chase, but I was left out, instructed instead to be cupbearer to the old wise one, while the rest were on hunt. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Wise Anemfeth gives dumb child a shred of attention. We ended up talking until the hunters returned. He gave me his hands, dart across his body, scouring the pockets and folds of his tunic. This. He presents a rusted iron medallion fashioned in the likeness of a hound's head, a common icon amongst the frontiersmen, explorers and other seekers of faithful to Galavain. The Enempheth insisted I be trained and none in my village would defy him. Now, he smiles broadly, I don't need a bow to hunt. Du kriegst aber trotzdem einen. Where are you from
My
originally?
mother's crotch. You?
I meant from what lands do you hail? What coincidence, I also came from your mother's crotch. Nein. I meant from what land do you hail?
I grew up in Erglonfoth, specifically in and around Thane Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I've walked the whole of Glonfoth many times.
Ich will gar nicht wissen, wie die das auf Deutsch übersetzt haben. What's the story behind the symbol of whale on your eye patch? Whale is known as the eyeless face, so a symbol seemed a good fit for my eye patch. He absent-mindedly runs his finger along the strap of the patch band. Well, iconography is rather popular in my home tribe, but it seems he is not as widely venerated here in the Direwood. I remember thinking that if I consecrated my eye to he who obfuscates and reveals, then maybe with enough devotion, well, would make use of old ruined thing. He pulls on the eye patch strap and lets it go with a loud snap. So if you think you see me staring at rums and cleavage wird's ausgesprochen, it's really just the will of whale controlling my gaze. Honest. Naja, ist klar. Ausschnitt. What's your relationship with Galavain? I was raised as a disciple of the Seeker God. He is the champion of the hunt. Be it the simple struggle for sustenance or the scholarly pursuit of knowledge. In my older years I've found he cuts himself off, shakes his head and starts again. Life has shown me I am more suited to the ways of whale. The furious hunt for knowledge often outpaces the journey to real understanding. Druids are known for changing into animals. What sort of creatures can you become? He takes a half step backward as you ask the question. All sort of things, he says quietly with a long, uncomfortable gaze. Hiravias stares at you blankly, arms folded. Let's discuss something else. That's unusually terse response from you. What are you holding back? I can't have secrets in my group. Out with it already. Any man with your scars has a story to tell. I'm just going to ask you later if you don't tell me now. What are you holding back?
It's a long story, and I haven't really told it before to an outsider, so bear with me. I struggled with spirit shifting, the final rite of passage in my druidic training. I prayed to Galawain for insight and, in the style of seekers of old, went to the forest, alone, to ask for guidance. Then I got my answer, an answer at least, in the form of a vibrantly colored Stelgar that pounced from the underbrush and made a salient demonstration of its capacity to eat things 1/15 its size.
You're alive today, so did you fend off the beast? That's terrible, I'm thankful we managed to survive. Let me guess, the beast knocked some sense into you. No, as awful as that sounds, it's one amazing rite of passage.
Fended off? I ripped off its arm and sent it running. As the beast was lopping off bits of my handsomeness, I remember trying to fight back, swinging with arms too short to reach. I felt I had the energy for one last swipe at the beast's nose, and when I lashed out with a punch, my arm felt twice as massive, and my fingers sprouted talons. In a rush of power, I shifted into a mirror of my assailant. Apparently, he couldn't pick on someone his own size. By the battle's end, his severed arm was in my maw. The beast limped away in defeat.
That's quite an impressive tale. I thought learning to spirit shift would win me some respect, maybe trap myself, an adherent lass with a lust for little man. Alas, I might have been better off staying a novice. When I wandered back to my village, they saw my wounds and asked what happened. I showed them. The name they called me called my form was the Autumn-Stelger, and his mouth opens, but he hesitates for a long moment before choosing his words. They were not impressed. The Ryo of my circle believe the Autumn-Stelger to be Heinous abomination. It is said that if it eats you, your soul is invariably lost. As this was my first and most intuitive form, they deemed me a carrier of its evil. Even though I never so much as threatened my kin, I was ruled unfit and cast out. Hiravias sighs, scratching his scarred face. I don't know what message Gallavain was trying to send. The only lesson I learned was that the Seeker God will punish you for seeking. So you are some sort of soul cannibal. You didn't choose your spirit shifting form, but were you at least recognized as a proper druid. Can you learn to spirit shift into something less terrifying? Didn't choose the spiritual form? No, he says with a huff. It chose me, or so I imagine. I always assumed I would shift into a stoat. Seems more true to my nature. He points to the embossed pattern of whale on his eye patch. As the obscured teaches, when the answer is inscrutable, one must be content to ponder the question. So you are some sort of soul cannibal. Hiravias stares at you with a frown before covering his face in his hands. No, he mutters, at least I think not. I've never actually sat down and eaten an entire person to find out. I'm not that curious to find out. Were you at least recognized as a proper druid? His brow furrows. No, but I know I passed an initiation rite 5 times more perilous than any of those kin betrayers that insisted I was a failure. Can you learn to spirit shift into something less terrifying? Already can and sometimes do, he says with a beaming smile that quickly returns to a scowl. But the druids of my circle assign great meaning to one's first form. I'll always be unclean to them. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, if you don't know me, you can't trust me. And if you can't trust me, odds are low you'll leap in front of a flying arrow to save my life. I've been meaning to visit the druids of Twin Elms to see if they know more about my spirit shift. If our journey takes us there, perhaps they can enlighten me with more information about the Autumn Stelgar. But for now, maybe we can talk about something less depressing?
I want to hear more about Gallavain and Whale. He stares at you blankly with his one eye. Oh, not sure what more there is to say on the subject, unless you were itching for a religious debate. Tell me more about your thoughts on Whale. I came to know Whale in earnest in the first year of my exile. I asked myself why Gallavain would punish me for asking questions. What just and fair god would punish me for doing as he asks? Questioning why I had been mauled just drove me mad, and the height of my worry I would have dreams where I only saw my injured eye. My healthy eye became blind in my dreams. He lifts up the eye patch to gently itch at the socket. You catch a quick glimpse of a puckered and scarred abscess under the well-embroidered patch. So one afternoon I stitched a stylized eye motif on the patch. I like to think of it as my self-initiation right into the Brotherhood of Whale. Whale is not an instructive or overbearing deity. He does not freely dispense wisdom and expels all of us to question and explore with our own minds. Well, reminds me that curiosity is being receptive to any and all truths, not hunting for any one answer. Has Well ever actually spoken directly to you or sent you a sign? No, never directly, he says with a smile, which is as it should be. Given what he represents, I especially like how Whale never sends wild beasts to maul me, but maybe I have low expectations of such things. Let's speak of something else, thank you. Did you count Druid? Hat man noch was? He stares at you blankly with his one eye. Oh, not sure what more there's to say on the subject, unless you were itching for a religious debate. What more can you tell me about Galloway? A frown overcomes his face as he ponders your question. Consider it a lapsed devotion. I will always respect the Seeker God, but he visited ruination on me when all I sought was knowledge, just as he thought it should be. He meshes his fingers together and flexes his digits until the points pop and click. Galloway left his mark on me. When I see my shifted reflection, I'm reminded of his presence. Galloway still inspires my fear, just not my worship. In fairness to Galloway, you did learn to spirit shift after the attack. Are you not thankful for that? Do you think there's a possibility that Galloway is trying to help you? Albeit in strange ways. A lesser man would accept the indignities of the gods and ask for seconds. Good on you for walking away from Galloway. If a god gave me a task and then crippled me for following instruction, I'd be angry as you are. Do you think there's a possibility? I suppose that, maybe, his one eye squints and his face contours into a frown. Certainly, there's the chance Galloway was trying to help by making me blind and deaf to everything on my right side. But put yourself in my paws. Do I then go back and commune in the woods to him again and invite another attack? It would be a suicidal leap of faith to ever go asking Galloway for anything. He spits on the ground. Anything. Something else. Galloway away. Never mind. Let's talk about something else. Tell me about Glenfath. It's a verdant land of history, culture, and natural beauty. His voice falls into a half whisper as he adds, and we already have enough unwanted trespassers, so I recommend you never visit. Do you miss it? Used so, he says with a slight frown. He scratches his shredded ear and looks eastward. It's home. I'll go back eventually, but he turns his attention to his shoulder and picks a small seed from the fibers of his tunic. See this? He holds up the seed. I know, just seed, but I've never seen this type before, and I'm itching to find out what grows from it. Every day I see something new out here. I'll return home eventually, but for now my curiosity exceeds my nostalgia even forward. Why should I avoid Glenfath? He looks at you puzzled. There are no cities to visit, no centers of commerce to explore. It would seem most visitors come to our lands to pillage the Engwithian ruins. The ancient Engwithians have the forests to our gave the forests to our ancestors, and in return we watch their ruins and see to it that they remain untouched. And before you ask, no, we don't have a secret passphrase or hand gesture. Nobody enters ruins, not even the guardians and watchers. What can you tell me of your tribe? I'm from the Fisher Crane tribe. Most of my people live far to the south, east, and around the Thainbog. He weaves his finger together and cracks his joints in a flexing motion of wet snaps. The tribe is not one of great renown, but he rather paused for a moment. They protect their lands in accordance with the sacred oath of old, and as much as it pains me to say, I wouldn't want any other tribe name attached to my own. Did you grow up in a bog? Only briefly. Here, let me show you something. Don't commit any of it to memory, please. Hiravias rolls up his sleeves and shows you his forearms. The soft brown fur of his arms is lined with faint stains of henna and scar tissue. This is where I grew up. On the migration trail. I had it marked on my arms during my training. While much of the trial guards the Thainbog year-round, many of us, including the Circle of Hawk and Ivy, honor the oath by patrolling lesser-known ruins scattered throughout the lands. He points at several of the henna crescents on his forearm. We eschew houses, take only what we can carry, and move camp every 2 moons to ensure that all our sacred sites are visited at regular intervals. This nomadic patrol is how my Druid circle came to name itself. We circle and protect like hawks, but we only ever perch on the ivy of the ruins, that is, nearby trees, never enter the builders' lairs. Why aren't the fisher cranes well regarded? Because the other tribes are insufferable sibling spawn. He grins broadly and stares at you with several silent moments. I suppose the fisher cranes have a reputation for being passive and reluctant to fight, which is another way of saying the other tribes fight hard while we fight smart. Our namesake, the fisher crane, is a marshland raptor that remains stark still from sunrise to noon. We are invisible stewards of the land and patient hunters of those who trespass. The three-tusked Stelgir tribe see our methods as soft and unbecoming, but I hear they use the same word for cousin as they do for whore in their dialect. Just an observation. Could you join a different tribe? Hiravias frowns and shakes his head. There are tribes that would take me. The twice split arrows adopt outcasts like myself, but their ways are not my own. Some of them even live under roofs. How obtuse. He looks off to the south, east and sighs. I long for home, not just any home, but Whale has made my wanderings fruitful, and I accept that it may not be until my soul passes that I rejoin the fisher cranes. I had some other questions about Air Glenfath. Aren't most Orlans in Air Glenfath wild?
Yes, I suppose all of us were a bit wild as my tribe was migratory and we didn't live in permanent houses. But I understand what you're trying to ask. Yes, a slight plurality of Glenfath and Orlans have forest plumage. Growing up with meadow plumage, I was assumed to be weaker than others my age. The huntmaster of my tribe only chose apprentices from the forested kin, or rather, wild Orlans, as they're called amongst slave-owning bigots, as well as bigots too broke to own slaves. I grew up in Glenfath, specifically in and around Thane Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I've walked the whole of Glenfath many times.
Well, something else. Put him aside from the group. Can we discuss our party members?
Curious about your compatriots? Whom in particular?
What do you think about Ida? Soll auf die Uhr gucken. Passt.
He's nasty, brutish, and tall. So, 2/3 like me, I suppose. The circumference of his neck exceeds the circumference of my torso at its thickest point. They sure do breed them big and dumb in the deerwood, don't they? No, I'm being a brat. Truthfully, I think the guy's a lot more gentle than he pretends. He's certainly got a big heart for animals, at least, which is rather telling of who he is under that soldier exterior.
What do you make of Eloth?
Oh, him? Him I don't mind too much. Though I could pitch a tent with the pole wedged up his anus. I could smell something funny on him. 2 cents? Not quite. Well, whatever it is, take note of his mood swings. I don't think he's unstable. I just think he has a lot going on up there.
Ah, sehr gut. Die können wir auch ansprechen.
She actually steps lightly when we travel outdoors, which is more than I could say for the rest of you. They do things differently where she's from, but she knows her way around the woods almost as well as I do. Almost.
Any thoughts on Kordanor?
Oh, I think I could fit 3 of me, plus a remainder of a 4th Hiravias inside that giant. Gods, am I glad he's friendly. And between you and me, he has a better singing voice than the prettiest lasses I know from my tribe. It's 1 part unsettling, 2 parts arousing, and it makes me wish I still had both ears.
Tell me your thoughts about endurance.
Oh, love at first sight. It's like WoW carved an ever-changing gash in his brain, and every hour he's a different flavor of angry. Durance makes me feel like I'm the sane one. He smells like fear in the mornings and rage in the afternoons. I'm keeping my eye on him. He's a laugh, but he might someday be a problem.
That's all for now.
We can speak another time. Lead the way.
Lead the way. Find the druid who knows more about the Autumn Stelgar. Okay. Das hier sind aber ja doch... Achso, das sind die... Die dunklen sind die abgeschlossenen. Okay, wäre vielleicht sinnvoll, wenn man die ausblenden könnte. Visions. You met Nolan druid named Hiravias in the woods. He said he was eventually bound for Twin Elms, but he was keen on exploring the meantime and seemed eager to a safety group. Blah, blah, blah. Der Verrückte ist ja gar nicht drin. Mhm. Bla 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 bla. Haben wir da irgendwas Neues noch bekommen? Stone Beetle. Corrode sind die extrem anfällig. Beetles are not quite man-sized, but their strike is sufficient intimidating form to frighten off most travelers. The alarmingly large insects never fail to impress and terrify visitors and reinforce the image of the Direwood as a barely civilized backwater. The expansive wilderness in and around Direwood and Ire Glanfirth gives beetles plenty of room to multiply. The most successful species of large beetle have evolved to not only camouflage themselves in the surrounding environment, but also to grow carapaces made out of common and hardy materials, such as wood, stone and adra. Glenfirthen tribes have been known to fashion crude shields and even weapons out of the limbs and shells of these beetles. Despite all appearances to the contrary, there's an underlying complexity to the common beetle. When they chose a material with which they developed their shell, they do so with a level of intention that borders on artistry. Wood beetles will often burrow intricate holes in their carapaces by blowing air through these manshift pipes. They play an eerie music to attract mates. Stone beetles fashion a rudimentary tusks and horns that help them to defend themselves and attack prey. The intricacies of Adra beetles are as of yet not well understood, save that they are notoriously difficult to kill. Ich guck nochmal, ob wir den nochmal ansprechen können, noch irgendeine Dialogoption finden.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
History. Okay, er will gerade nicht. Okay, dann reisen wir mal weiter nach Osten. Nach Direwood Village. Jo. Und ja, schauen wir mal. Da sollten wir dann auch wieder jemanden anheuern können. Temple of Barath. Und da unten ist sie, Grieving Mother. Das werden wir dann allerdings beim nächsten Mal schauen. Denn es wird schon wieder ein wenig spät. Also bis denn.